The shocking Sigma male prediction for 2026. Will they dominate the world or destroy it?
Have you felt it yet? That quiet sense that something fundamental has shifted beneath your feet? Not a headline, not a rumor, but a deep, unsettling awareness that the rules you were taught no longer apply. Gentlemen, as we move deeper into 2026, the transformation is no longer subtle. It's unfolding in plain sight. The old systems that once promised security, progression, and predictability are cracking in real time. Entire industries are being hollowed out by AI-driven automation, not gradually but aggressively. Tech giants are downsizing. Creative fields are being reshaped by algorithms. White-collar professions, once considered safe, are vanishing faster than anyone expected. Even social media platforms, once seen as untouchable empires, are bleeding users. Attention spans are collapsing. Trust is eroding. Digital noise is overwhelming value. What used to feel like opportunity now feels like saturation and exhaustion. This isn't just an economic shift. It's a psychological one. The promise was simple. Follow the path, build the resume, stay relevant, and stability will follow. But that promise is dissolving. And the men who sense this early, the ones who feel the tension before it becomes panic, are already adjusting their posture, their priorities, and their strategy. Because in times like these, the most dangerous mistake isn't losing a job. It's clinging to a system that no longer rewards loyalty. So here's the real question, and I want you to answer it honestly in the comment box. Do you feel prepared for where the world is heading? Or are you still relying on rules that no longer exist? Economic turbulence has become the baseline. Inflation spikes without warning. Supply chains fracture and recover unevenly. Geopolitical pressure keeps markets and minds permanently tense. And beneath all of this chaos, something quieter but far more significant is unfolding. Millions of men are disengaging from the traditional race entirely. They are stepping away from the endless climb, the approval economy, the performance treadmill that promised meaning but delivered exhaustion. Within this unstable landscape, one archetype is not just surviving. It is positioned to dominate. The Sigma male. This is not internet mythology or another viral trend destined to fade. This is a projection rooted in observable global shifts. By the end of this discussion, it will be clear why 2026 marks the turning point where Sigma males move from fringe philosophy into undeniable force. Financial autonomy, relational leverage, psychological resilience, and quiet influence converge in their favor at a scale we have not seen before. But there is a warning embedded in this rise. If the Sigma archetype accelerates without balance, without ethical grounding, it risks eroding cooperation, community cohesion, and empathetic connection. To understand both the power and the risk, we must first clarify what a true Sigma male actually is. In the traditional sociosexual hierarchy, alphas dominate through visibility, charisma, and leadership at the top. Betas prioritize safety, structure, and approval within the system. Sigmas exit the structure altogether. They are self-sufficient by design, strategically detached, and guided by internal standards rather than external reward. Their defining traits include emotional sovereignty, extreme discernment in relationships, viewing social interaction as a managed portfolio rather than a necessity, relentless self-discipline without an audience, calm magnetic confidence, and mastery of solitude as a tool for optimal energy allocation. With that foundation established, we can now examine the 6 major global megatrends emerging in 2026 that amplify Sigma advantages dramatically. The first is the AI tsunami reshaping work itself. By 2026, artificial intelligence has matured beyond assistance and into replacement. Complex creative tasks, analytical roles, and decision-based positions are being automated at scale. The traditional 9-to-5 model, built on office politics, physical presence, and hierarchical loyalty, has collapsed almost overnight. This disruption aligns perfectly with the Sigma mindset. Alphas lose relevance without teams to command. Betas scramble as institutional stability vanishes. Sigmas, already accustomed to self-education and independent execution, adapt instantly. They do not fight AI, they leverage it. Quietly, efficiently, they build scalable solo operations, turning systemic collapse into personal leverage while others remain disoriented. The second trend is the mass digital detox. By 2026, social exhaustion has reached a breaking point. Years of constant alerts, algorithmic outrage, and performative online existence have pushed millions to disconnect entirely. Accounts are deleted, smartphones are downgraded, offline living regains value. Smaller, deeper real-world connections replace shallow digital validation. This shift validates what Sigmas practiced long before it was popular. Energy auditing, selective engagement, and the silent removal of chronic drains were once mistaken for coldness or arrogance. Now, in a culture starving for clarity and mental space, these behaviors are recognized as foresight rather than detachment. What about you? Have you ever felt the need to step back from the digital noise? Share your experience in the comments below. The third trend is the rise of extreme discipline and internal optimization. Wellness in 2026 is no longer aesthetic or performative. It is ruthless and internal. Cold exposure, prolonged fasting, rigid routines, stoic reflection, advanced biohacking, and precision nutrition define the new standard. Fashion mirrors this shift, favoring understated strength, clean lines, and functional elegance. Loud motivation is discarded. Quiet execution is respected. Sigmas pioneered this lifestyle long before it became cultural currency. Their routines are non-negotiable, practiced daily without spectacle. Early training, deep uninterrupted work, controlled diets. Over time, results compound silently into superior physical presence, sharper cognition, and greater endurance. They influence without instruction. This contrast exposes the fragility of other models. Alphas dependent on applause often collapse when attention fades. As the divide widens, resentment brews among those unwilling or unable to internalize discipline. In 2026, content centered on quiet optimization dominates, inspiring change while revealing how outdated hustle culture leads only to burnout and instability. The fourth trend is volatility breeding hyperindependence. Global instability intensifies throughout the year. Regional conflicts disrupt trade routes. Climate events trigger energy shortages. Currency fluctuations erase savings overnight. Public trust in governments, institutions, and corporations continues to erode. In this environment, reliance becomes liability. Independence becomes survival. And in that reality, the Sigma male does not panic. He prepared for this world long before it arrived. Institutions that once symbolized security now feel brittle and unreliable. Systems that promise protection are showing cracks, and people can sense it. In response, a massive cultural pivot toward radical self-reliance is underway. Individuals are no longer waiting for stability to be restored. They are preparing for instability instead. Practical skills are being stockpiled. Emergency financial reserves are becoming standard. Mobility is prioritized through remote work setups, secondary residencies, even second passports. Some are going further, experimenting with off-grid living and decentralized lifestyles as insurance against systemic failure. This environment is natural Sigma territory. Sigmas never placed blind trust in institutions to begin with. While others assumed permanence, Sigmas assumed volatility. Years ago, they began cultivating anti-fragility. They diversified assets across currencies and sectors. They developed survival-oriented knowledge, ranging from wilderness competence to cybersecurity. They built redundant income streams designed to function even when one channel collapses. As alphas struggle to rally weakening teams and betas cling to shrinking safety nets, Sigmas navigate chaos with controlled precision. They do not panic. They calculate, They identify undervalued assets during downturns. They pivot business models rapidly. They move where opportunity emerges instead of where tradition dictates. In this environment, hyper-independence stops looking extreme and starts looking like a survival blueprint. Quiet preparation transforms crisis into leverage. Throughout 2026, Sigmas are seen thriving as digital nomads in stable regions, launching ventures engineered for disruption rather than stability. Decentralized supply chains, privacy-first technologies, flexible service models. These are not accidents. They are the result of long-term positioning. This wave builds resilience and innovation, empowering individuals to endure shocks that overwhelm centralized systems. But the danger is real. If hyper-independence spreads without balance, essential large-scale collaboration begins to fracture. Climate response, infrastructure development, global health coordination all rely on trust and cooperation. When belief in collective action erodes too far, societies risk splintering into isolated units, strong individually yet fragile as a whole. This leads to the fifth shift. Power is being redefined. Competence is replacing visibility. Traditional status symbols, impressive titles, massive follower counts, flashy luxury displays, loud personal branding are rapidly losing credibility. In an era shaped by misinformation, economic pressure, and institutional skepticism, people no longer trust appearances. They seek results. Real influence now belongs to those who deliver value quietly, those who solve problems without broadcasting effort. This is the ultimate Sigma advantage. They have always built skills in private, executed efficiently, and allowed outcomes to speak. No theatrics, no performance, no dependency on applause. Their authority emerges through unmistakable expertise and composed presence. In business, Sigmas secure high-stakes opportunities through reputation alone. In communities, they guide without demanding recognition. Online, low-profile content, deep analyses, faceless channels, and long-form insight gain traction because substance cuts through noise. As 2026 progresses, this accelerates. Algorithms begin rewarding depth over flash. Audiences migrate toward niche specialists. Quiet leaders rise across disciplines. Anonymous developers release transformative tools. Coaches change lives through word of mouth instead of branding funnels. Sigmas accumulate disproportionate influence through value-based networks, not forced visibility. The upside is undeniable. Merit starts to matter again. Superficial noise loses its grip. Real innovation rises not from loud promoters, but from focus builders working quietly in the background. But the shadow doesn't disappear. As visibility-based archetypes collapse, identity crises intensify. Some respond with desperation. They fabricate authority. They weaponize insecurity. They build hollow guru empires designed to extract attention rather than create value. There's an even deeper risk most people miss. Extreme competence without ethical grounding concentrates power in places no one can see. When influence becomes invisible, transparency weakens. Accountability erodes. And unchecked power, no matter how quiet, always carries consequences. That's why this moment matters. We are standing at a decisive crossroads. Balanced ascent or unintended collapse. 2026 doesn't reward passivity. It forces a choice. One path leads to disciplined, sovereign individuals, men who are strong, grounded, and capable of advancing humanity together. The other leads to isolation, apathy, fractured cooperation, and stagnation while real threats continue to grow. True Sigmas don't choose extremes. They choose balance. Strength paired with responsibility. Independence guided by conscience. Power restrained by awareness. The directive is simple but not easy. Audit your life relentlessly. Build quietly. Develop leverage without ego. Protect your sovereignty without losing your humanity. Stay sovereign, brothers. The lone wolf era has begun, but the wise wolf knows when to walk alone. and when to stand with the pack. If this message sharpened your thinking, make your presence known. Comment with your perspective, like the video to push this conversation further, and subscribe to Epic Persona, where clarity replaces chaos, discipline replaces ego, and power is forged with purpose. More is coming.